Hello, I'm Ian from your school garden, and just here to welcome you to your garden and just say hello and let you know that we're really missing you, students, and we want you to know that we're really proud of you for working hard and trying your best to do what you can. This pandemic is really hard, isn't it? So we know that, and we really miss you. But we want you to have a look at your garden. I've met some of you at this school, but some of you I never have met, and I hope to meet you. But whoever you are, this is your garden. And so 7 years ago, 2013, this garden over here looked just like this, just bare, dead grass. And kids like you have worked on it year after year, planting and taking care of the plants. And now it's a beautiful, lush garden, as we'll see. Lots of plants, growing lots of food, and also creating habitat for creatures. So let's have a look at your garden. This is really exciting. I love fig trees. Look at all those figs. These ones are hard and not ripe yet, but there was another crop that was ripe this summer that we harvested in August. We're lucky to have figs in our garden. There's a lot of this flower in this garden. This is Calendula, which is an edible flower. You can do other things like make salves or tea, stuff like that. And if you look, it's going to seed, right? All the flowers have dried out and have created seeds. And I think you'll agree, those are pretty strange looking seeds. You see those little kind of grayish things? They almost look like little creatures. If you think about all these seeds falling to the ground, that's gonna be a lot of flowers next year too. Really exciting thing about September is that the grapes are ripe. For some of us, that's our favorite thing to eat in the garden, is these fresh grapes. And you'll notice that a lot of things in the garden are growing up. They're not just plants growing on the ground, but they're growing up, they're climbing. And this is one that is in the garden a lot, we see. It's called a scarlet runner bean. And it's a beautiful red flower. And I'll just show you two of them. And this one's much younger. Okay, and it's kind of soft and still a little bit moist. Can you believe the colors? There's any more in there. Look at those colors, can you believe it? So let's set that down. And then this one's actually ready to harvest. And these are what they look like. We call them magic beans for the obvious reason. But this is like a dried bean that you would make a soup out of. You would cook it. Or, of course, we can save these, plant them in the ground in the spring to grow more beans, right? This one's always surprising. Can you believe that this is asparagus? Have you seen asparagus? Those little skinny spears they eat? So we harvested those earlier in the spring as they were coming up fresh, but then some of them we just let them grow and they become this big tall fern. It lives for the whole year, dies back in the winter, and then those spears will come up again in the spring. This is a different type of bean. This is more like a green bean. And there's always a lot of kale in the garden. And this is a couple different kinds of kale. And I want to show you how to harvest the kale. You just grab the leaf right here next to the stem and you snap down and up. Okay? Down and up. And if you look at the stem, you can see that all season we've been harvesting, every week harvesting more kale to eat, and it just keeps growing out of the top. So we don't want to pick the top. And you might be wondering, so where is all this food going? And I just want you to feel very proud, because your school is growing food for the community. So every week, volunteers and school garden people come to this garden and harvest all the food that's ready, and they give it to people in the community that need it. This kind of kale is called dinosaur kale. Not because it tastes like dinosaurs, but because we think that kind of looks like dinosaur skin. Here's some broccoli that's getting tall. You probably know that broccoli is a flower. Each one of those little green bumps will pop open. They become this little yellow flower. And you can eat those. What is this hanging on the fence? Look at that. That's a lot of food right there. That is really heavy. This is a blue Hubbard squash. And this is the sort of thing that we would slice up, put it in the oven, and roast it, maybe with some oil and salt and pepper. Really delicious, and can feed a lot of people. Would you look at this pear tree? See some beautiful pears on there? And if you'll notice, this is trained in a certain shape, and there's a name for that. It's a French word, espalier. And that just means that instead of growing in a normal tree shape, it's trained kind of flat, so it can go against a fence or a wall. And so even if you don't have a lot of space where you live, you can still grow a fruit tree if you just have a little bit of space. And what's growing down here? Can you recognize this at all? That's a zucchini squash. You can kind of see what's going on. See this yellow flower? The first thing that happens is that the bees go in and pollinate. Oh, and actually, there's a bee in there right now. Let's see if we can get that on the camera. Can you see that bee? Oops. Now we can really see that bee. Sorry, buddy. Anyways, how that works, it's like on any fruiting plant, a tomato, an apple, whatever. First comes the flower, right? It gets pollinated by the pollinators. Look, at that bee wants to come back. And then after that, then comes the fruit. Okay, this is that baby zucchini. You can see those are a little bit bigger. Have you tasted these? Golden raspberries. These are really special, and they grow really well around here. Looks like we also have melons in your garden. That's a cantaloupe right there. And that's a squash. This is a different kind of melon. Now, a lot of you have seen blackberry bushes and you've tasted blackberries. But you know what's special about the blackberries that grow in your school garden? No thorns. This is totally smooth. No thorns at all. That's pretty neat, right? And now, for the cutest vegetable in the garden, it's the mouse melon. It's called a melon, but it's actually tastes more like a cucumber. It's cute. And this structure is the tallest structure in the garden. It's pretty special. I don't know if you can tell, it's a teepee out of bamboo poles. And it's called the Bean Lodge because when it was first built, it had beans climbing up the poles. But this year, instead of beans, we've got more grapes growing up there. You see those grapes? And also this climbing flower called hops. and they have totally covered it. And if you look inside the structure, you can see that it's a really great place to be on a hot day, and a good place to study or read, or just to kind of be in a peaceful place and be in nature. So here we are among some more fruit trees. These two are peach trees. Peaches are already done, right? They got ripe and we harvested them in July. Here's some really nice looking apples. Cherries are all done for now. Asian pears. I think these are ripe right now. There's two kinds of Asian pears in your garden. This yellower one is called shinseki, and this one is called chojuro. Another apple. This is Sorrel the Rabbit, and you may have met some of the garden rabbits. You may have met Steve the Rabbit from years ago, or Sam or Sato, and the rabbits miss you too. And the rabbits live at North Lake, a school in Longview, but some days they get to come hop around different gardens, and Sorrel really likes being at the Huntington garden. You want to hop around, buddy? See what you see? Kind of rabbit that he is a New Zealand red. Pretty big. Of course, the garden shed where we keep all the garden tools. And I want to just see this. This is my favorite vegetable in the garden. It's called an artichoke, and it's actually a flower. It's ready to eat right now. If we cut it and cook it in water for like 30 minutes, we could eat it. But if we don't harvest it, it's going to open up. It's going to be a beautiful pink flower that the bees will love. So some will just let them open. So thank you so much for being here and having a look at your garden. Again, we want you to know that this is your garden, and we hope to see you here really, really soon. And if you want help with any of your gardening, if you would like some plants or some seeds, or you want to know some ideas for gardening, that sort of thing, or if you want to know how you could maybe visit this garden, one thing you could do is you could call or text this number, or if you have email, you could email that. And we hope to see you soon. Bye now.